Let us now resume on the next topic, which is on the types of curriculum operating in school. So after this topic, muli nating babalikan yung inyong module para i-explain natin kung paano ninyo a-answeran yung inyong activity provided in your module. Okay? So, the different types of curriculum operating in school. So, ano-ano nga ba yung mga curriculum na ma-observe natin sa school? Okay? Ready na? Okay. First is the recommended curriculum. Ano ba yung tinatawag natin na recommended curriculum? Kapag sinabi natin recommended curriculum, this pertains to the curriculum may come from a national agency like the Department of Education, Department of Science and Technology, or it could be the CHED. Okay? Sometimes, pwedeng sabihin natin na yung syllabus o yung CMO from the CHED, or it could be na yung sa DepEd, which is the learning competencies, diba? So, yun ay standard at nagmumula siya sa mga agencies, national agencies, para standardized lahat ng included na mga learning outcomes and intended learning outcomes sa nationwide. Okay, so these are from any professional organization who has stake in education. And most likely, most of the school curriculum are recommended. Kasi nga galing siya sa organization, professional organization. Say for example, yung contents ng teacher's guide, yung mga book, okay, all of those are recommended and gathered or siya ay na-form through the learning competencies provided by the DepEd or CHED or any professional organization. Nakuha natin kapag sinabing recommended curriculum, main clue words are from professional organizations, which is like DepEd and CHED. Recommended curriculum. Next is written curriculum. When we say written curriculum, this includes documents, course study or syllabi handed down to the schools, districts, division, departments, or colleges for implementation. So, from the word itself, these are the written documents. Another example for this one is a lesson plan. Okay, teacher's guide. Yun, mga written curriculum yun. So, another is that written lesson plan. Gaya ng sinabi natin kanina, no? Of classroom teachers made up of objectives and planned activities of the teacher. Most of the written curricula are made by curriculum experts with the participation of the teachers. So, lahat ng it might be encoded, no? Kasi sa panahon natin ngayon, with the technology, ang ginagamit naman natin is the computer, right? So, it may be encoded, pero ang kasanhi, of course, handwritten yun siya. It could be lesson plan, teacher's guide, ano pa ba yung mga other forms? Say, for example, yung curriculum map, that one is another. Then, yung mga forms, other forms na ginagamit natin. Say, for example, yung report card. Okay? Written curriculum. Again, documents. Yun yung keywords, documents, the syllabus or the syllabi, handed down to schools, the lesson plan. So that is what you call written curriculum. Number 3 is the taught curriculum. So ano ba yung kapag sinabi nating taught curriculum? So, taught curriculum is the different planned activities which are put into action in the classroom, compose the taught curriculum. So, more likely, activities. Kapag sinabing taught curriculum, these are the activities that are put into action. Group activities, individual activities, recitation, taught curriculum. Another definition of taught curriculum is that these are varied activities that are implemented in order to arrive at the objectives or purposes of the written curriculum. Gaya ng sinabi natin kanina, these are activities. Varies according to the learning styles of the students and the teaching styles of the teachers. So, ito na yung from the written curriculum. Kasi yung written, these are documents, di ba? Mga sinulat pa siya or nasa paper pa siya. And once it is implemented, that is already what we call taught curriculum. Kuha, main clue word is the word activity or varied activities that depends on the learning styles and teaching styles of the teachers. Nakuha? Okay. Next is supported curriculum. Ano ba yung kapag sinabi nating supported curriculum? Now, when we say supported curriculum, it includes the materials, resources, such as textbooks, computers, audiovisual materials, laboratory equipment, so on and so forth. Okay? Kapag sinabi ng supported curriculum, ito ay yung mga instructional materials that supports, okay, the instruction of the teacher. Support curriculum should enable each learner to achieve real and lifelong learning. So again, supported curriculum, this pertains to the instructional materials that supports, okay, in any form. Di ba, we already have undergone technology for teaching and learning. So all the instructional materials that we discussed in TTL1 is already considered as supported curriculum. Even yung laptop, projector, no, anything that supports the instruction of the teacher is considered as supported curriculum. Next. Okay, assessed curriculum. From the word itself, no, hindi ito bago sa atin. Attested or evaluated curriculum. At the end of the teaching episodes, series of evaluations are being done by the teachers to determine the extent of teaching or to tell if the students are progressing. Assessment tools like paper and pencil test, authentic instruments like portfolio are being utilized. So from the word itself, talking about assessed curriculum, ito ay yung mga assessment. Okay? It could be also yung mga assessment tools na ginagamit ni teachers. Anything, may it be formative kind of assessment or summative kind of assessment, as long as it is used to determine the extent of the teaching or to tell if the students are progressing. Nakuha? From the word itself, assessed curriculum, assessment, or assessment tools. Yan lang kasimple. Next, learned curriculum. Now, what is the difference between learned curriculum and taught curriculum? Pag sinabi natin learned curriculum, these are already the learning outcomes achieved by the students. Unlike doon sa taught curriculum, no, these are activities na ginagamit ni teacher so that the learners will be able to achieve the goals or the objectives of the day. Learned curriculum, learning outcomes are indicated in the results of the tests and changes in the behavior which can either be cognitive, affective, or psychomotor. So, pag sinabing learned curriculum, this pertains to the outcomes. Ano ba yung mga natutunan? From the word itself, learned. Ano ba yung mga na-achieve, na objective, or learning outcomes ng mga learners? So, may it be in cognitive, no, yung mga idea, information, so on and so forth. Affective. Ano ba kapag sinabi natin affective? These are the, what? Behavior, manners, right? And kapag sinabi natin psychomotor, ano to? More likely on the skills, di ba? Yung mga movements. Okay, so that is considered as learned curriculum. Okay, next. Hidden curriculum. Ano ba kapag sinabi natin hidden curriculum? The unintended curriculum which is not deliberately planned but may modify behavior or influence learning outcomes. So, ito yung parang biglaan lang, okay, na pumapasok on the process ng pagtuturo ni teacher. Say, for example, mag-insert si teacher ng quotation, inspiring na mga quotations. Or di kaya ito yung part na si teacher magbusa-busa. Diba? Si teacher ay mangangaral sa kanyang mga learners. Unexpected yun. So, that is part of the hidden curriculum. Peer influence, school environment, physical condition, teacher-learner interaction, mood of the teachers, and many other factors make up the hidden curriculum. Okay, sabihin natin, mood ni teacher for the day. Masyado siyang irritable. So, that is considered as hidden curriculum. Unexpected na nangyayari. Okay, not planned. Kumbaga, say for example, yung interaction ni teacher and ni learner. No? Kung paano sila mag-communicate. Kung si teacher ba ay parang light lang yung mood niya sa class or masyadong strict. Okay, that is which is not planned by the teacher, so that is already considered as hidden curriculum. Meron pa dito physical condition, unexpected si learner nakaabot hindi rin maupay ialawas. Okay, the school environment and peer influence. Okay, so these are more likely a general example of what is a hidden curriculum. Pero we can also observe this one inside the classroom naman. Specific examples. Number 8 is the concomitant curriculum. Things that are taught at home, those experiences that are part of the family's experiences, may be received at church in the context of religious expression, lessons on values, ethics, or morals, molded behaviors, or social experiences based on families' preferences. So more likely, when we say concomitant curriculum, it is a curriculum that happens outside the classroom. Kasi sabi ito, saan siya nangyari? Sa bahay, at home, di ba? Ituturo sa bahay, yung orientation sa bahay, experiences with the family, that is already considered as concomitant curriculum. Then, hindi lang naman sa bahay. May it be in religious na mga aspects. Sa church, kung ano ituturo sa'yo sa church, na siya namang nagbabago ng behavior ng isang bata, no? Concomitant curriculum. Sabi pa nga dito, molded behaviors, or it may be the family's preferences. Okay, so concomitant curriculum. More likely this happens or takes place outside of the classroom. May it be at home, or at church, or any religious aspect na nagtuturo sa mga bata relating to values, ethics, and morals. Nakukuha? Okay, next is the phantom curriculum. So, simple lang yung phantom curriculum. Sabi dito na, phantom curriculum is the messages prevalent in and through the exposure to media. Actually, numbers 8 to 10, parang ano na siya, updated na mga concepts regarding on the different types of curriculum operating in schools. Okay, kasi dati, as far as I can remember, sa panahon namin, there are only 7 until hidden curriculum lamang siya. But since, of course, sabi pa nga natin sa curriculum, no, ito ay isang progressive na systematic, no? It depends upon sa mga trends, no? So, meron mga pagbabago and meron mga updates regarding on the informations na naidadagdag sa mga topics. Okay? So, since we are already in the 21st century, technology century na tayo, no? So, napakalaki yung impact na naibibigay ng social media sa mga learners. So, anything from the social media, exposure to media that more likely affects the behavior of the learner, influences the learner, is what we call phantom curriculum. Again, ito ay yung exposure sa media ng mga learners. So, phantom curriculum. And last but not the least, of course, is the null curriculum. Refers to various curriculum contents or topics that must not be taught to the students. Okay, dalawang bagay ito actually. Una, various curriculum contents or topics that must not be taught, okay, with the word not be taught to the students. Ibig sabihin, yung mga curriculum contents na hindi na sana ituturo sa mga bata. Say for example, si teacher, instead na hindi niya tuturuan yung mga bata ng pagrebelde, ganun, pagsuway sa rules and regulations of the school. So that is null curriculum. Yun yung una. Pangalawa, ito naman ay yung what is not taught. Ito naman ay yung sinasabi natin, yung dapat na ituro, pero hindi tinuturo ni teacher. Maybe it is because hindi master ni teacher yung topic. Okay? O hindi master teacher yung content. Kaya hindi niya na ituturo sa mga learners. So again, with the null curriculum, meron tayong dalawang aspects or meron tayong dalawang main subtopic for this one. First is the various curriculum contents that are not taught, okay, hindi na ituturo sa bata na kailangan sanang ituro. Pangalawa, yung mga hindi sana dapat ituro pero itinuturo sa mga bata. Nakukuha? Okay? Also, no curriculum, not teaching some particular idea or sets of ideas may be due to the mandate of the higher authorities, to teachers' lack of knowledge, or to deeply ingrained assumptions and biases. Okay. So, ito yung support naman do sa what is not taught. Okay? May it be, bakit hindi siya itinuro ng teacher? Maliban daw sa hindi niya master, no? Or lack of knowledge regarding the topic. Maliban doon, baka kasi ito rin ay galing sa higher authorities. Maybe it is a mandate from the higher authorities or to refrain biases, maiwasan yung mga bias na information. Nakukuha? So that is null curriculum. Again, null curriculum, it can be the curriculum contents that should be taught but not provided by the teacher. Next is should not be taught but provided by the teacher. Okay? Ulitin ko, Tagalogin lang natin. Null curriculum, ito ay yung mga dapat sanang ituro ni teacher pero hindi niya tinuro, maaring dahil sa iniutos ito ng higher authorities or dahil sa lack of the mastery, no, of the topics ng teacher or para maiwasan yung mga bias. Pangalawa, yung mga hindi sana dapat ituro na ituturo naman ni teacher. Nakukuha? So those were the 10 types of curriculum operating in schools. So I guess that is the end of lesson 1. Before we proceed on the major foundations of curriculum, let us first check your module. Okay, here. So the types of curriculum operating in schools is the last topic to be discussed for lesson 1. So let us now check the activity provided for lesson 1. Now, first activity is that you are to identify different curricula that exist in schools. Not necessary, since you might find it difficult to observe the actual classroom setup due to the current situation with the pandemic nowadays. So, more likely, you are to think of, no? Iisip na lang kayo ng mga base sa mga na-observe ninyo before. Okay? You may also interview teachers or ask them regarding the different curricula existing in schools. Now, you make it sure that you will be able to write specific examples, no? Huwag ka lang basta maglalagay dyan na lesson plan. What kind of lesson plan? Lesson plan in math with what particular topic? Okay? So, anong class, sa anong type of curriculum siya nabibilong? So, you may fill in the table provided below. Diyan ninyo ilalagay yung inyong answer. So, first, different types of curricula operating in schools. Then, you need to define the curriculum in your own words. So, for you, what is recommended curriculum? Based on the discussion that we had earlier, what do we mean when we say recommended curriculum? But of course, that is of your own idea, no? On how you understand the said curriculum. Then you provide example. Yun na nga, gaya ng sinabi dito. You are to provide specific example based on your, not necessarily in your observation. Maybe it is from your interview or based on your pag-recall ng classroom setup. So, doon sa 10 until sa null curriculum, you define in your own words, then you provide a specific example each type of curriculum. Next is, you are to identify varied practices of teachers that can be considered as a traditional orientation or the traditional point of view and the progressive point of view. So, you write here sa practices, ano ba yung mga ginagawa ni teacher na traditional na point of view? Alam naman natin, no, kung ano yung pinagkaiba ng traditional and progressive. So, ano ba yung mga practice na ginagawa ni teacher, mga activities, or ano ba yung pag-manage niya sa loob ng classroom na nagpapakita ng traditional point of view. At ano rin naman, yung mga practices, activities, classroom management na ginagawa ni teacher na nagpapakita ng progressive point of view. Then, you make a conclusion in each point of view. But of course, your conclusion must be from should base from your answer in the practices. Okay? Then, you answer the following questions here. Kindly read na lang. No? And of course, sa part ng express. Now, you are to make reflections from the different questions provided in the express part. Nakuha? And you will be graded based from the learning rubric provided for lesson 1. The definition, nature, and scope of curriculum. So that is the end of lesson 1. Now, if you have questions or clarifications regarding on the topic that we discussed or further explanation for the activities provided for you in your module, so do not hesitate to raise your questions in our group chat. Okay, but again, please to consider the general directions provided. Gaya ng sinabi natin, questions and clarifications can be entertained within what? A range of time from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Maliban sa mga oras na yon, questions and clarifications will not be entertained anymore. Nakuha? Okay, so if it is now clear, I guess we can now proceed to the next topic. Now, for lesson 2, yung nandun sa ating PowerPoint presentation is, ano siya, diba, supplementary na mga concepts na dapat nating matutunan, yung discussions. So, of course, you still have to read. Nakuha? You still have to read. Say, for example, here, sa illicit na part, please do read the content or the readings provided here. Kasi meron ding, questions for the illicit na part. Then, after, that's the time na panonoorin na natin yung video regarding the major foundations of curriculum. So, again, please make it a habit that you always read your module. Nakuha? Maaring, while we are discussing through this video presentation, na hindi included yung mga concepts na nandito sa inyong module. So, much better na you are reading your module and at the same time, itong video na ito can be a supplementary instructional material for you to learn. Nakuha? Okay. So, let us now proceed to the next lesson, Major Foundations of Curriculum. Now, with the Major Foundations of Curriculum, we have here 4 subtopics. First is the Philosophical Foundations of Curriculum. Next is the Historical Foundations of Curriculum, Psychological, and last is the Social Foundations of Curriculum. But I guess parang ano lang tayo, merong mga part lang dito na i-discuss natin. May part din naman na i-recall lang natin since it is already discussed from the previous Prof Ed that we had, especially in Prof Ed 2. Are you ready? First, major foundation of curriculum, the philosophical foundations of curriculum. Now, actually, there are more than 4 philosophies of education, but hindi natin yung i-discuss lahat since the other philosophies are already provided in your, the teaching profession. I guess that is Prof Ed 7 or Prof Ed 9 with Ma'am Vale. Basta si Ma'am Vale yung instructor niyo for that one. So, the teaching profession, if I'm not mistaken, basta nung time namin, the teaching profession yung tawag. Okay? And magkasunod lang to, curriculum development and teaching profession. And mas bibigyang emphasis yung philosophies of education doon sa teaching profession with Ma'am Vale. But here, we will only identify 4. And we will only discuss 4 philosophical foundations of curriculum. The first is the perennialism, essentialism, progressivism, and reconstructionism. Okay? Philosophy provides teachers, educators, and curriculum makers with framework for planning, implementing, and evaluating curriculum in schools. So, ibig sabihin, these philosophical foundations of curriculum, ito ay mga talaga to, parang pillars, kumbaga, ng education. Kasi this is a guide. Sabi po nga dito, this serves as a framework for planning, implementing, and evaluating the curriculum in schools. Now, without these philosophies, teachers, curricularists, and other stakeholders might find it difficult to have a systematic process of planning, implementing, and evaluating the curriculum. Okay? So, napakahalaga ng philosophies sa curriculum. First is, let us define what is philosophy. Now, philosophy, which literally means love of wisdom, begins with wonder about our most basic beliefs. Its goal is to help us achieve autonomy by making us more aware of our own beliefs and encouraging us to reason and think through issues for ourselves. Now, with philosophies kasi na pag-uusapan natin sa 4, ito ay iba't ibang paniniwala regarding the learning experience ng bata, paniniwala regarding the learner himself, the teacher, okay, the whole curriculum. So, mga beliefs ito siya. Philosophy is the study of general and fundamental problems such as those connected with existence, knowledge, values, reason, mind, and language. It is also a rational attempt to formulate, understand, and answer fundamental questions. Of course, questions where? Main questions regarding education and the learner. Now, essentialism. When we say essentialism, it tries to instill all students with the most essential or basic academic knowledge and skills and character development. So, more likely kaya siya tinawag na essentialism because we are trying to provide the most essential or the most basic academic knowledge, which is the 4 R's. Reading, writing, arithmetic, and right conduct. Sabi pa nga dito, and character development. So, what is the aim of essentialism in education? The aim of essentialism in education is to promote intellectual growth, intellectual growth of the individual and educate a competent person. What is the role of education according to essentialism? The teacher is the sole authority. So, more likely, teacher-centered siya. Okay? Ang lahat-lahat, yung pag-manage ng classroom, yung main attention, the decision-making, activities, lahat ay nakasenter kay teacher. Okay, the teacher is the sole authority in his or her subject, area, or field of specialization. Heavy stress on, eto ha, take note. Kasi, these philosophies of education usually comes out to the licensure examination. So, please, as much as possible, you try to familiarize and to master as much as possible all the philosophies of education. Kaya damo ini siya. Meron pa nga tayong di ba, progressivism. Nandito na pala, meron tayong hedonism, idealism, realism, eclectic na belief. Basta marami to siya actually na kailangan ninyong malaman at kailangan ninyong ma-master kasi ito ay parang usual talaga na lumalabas sa board exam. So, please, do have a further study or mag-conduct kayo ng research or you do browse the internet so that you'll be able to master all the philosophies of education and you will be prepared, you will be acquainted or oriented regarding on the different philosophies of education. So, talking about essentialism, dapat i-instill sa mga bata yung most essential or basic academic knowledge, which is yung 4 R's. Okay, reading. Again, reading, writing, arithmetic, and right conduct. Now, heavy stress on memorization and discipline. Nakuha? So, more likely traditional way talaga siya or traditional point of view of curriculum. Now, focus in curriculum. Ayun nga, sabi nga natin, essential skills, 3 R's before. Pero ngayon, we already have 4 R's. Focus is on the mastery. Let me highlight the word mastery of the subject matter. Nakukuha? Hence, teaching is focused more on the use of textbooks, drill lecture, homework, recitation, and frequent testing and evaluation. Okay, so more likely, mga, gamit talaga ng libro. Curriculum trends, excellence in education, since the main emphasis is to master the essential or basic academic knowledge. Teachers are considered as fountain of information and paragon of virtues. Huwag niyong kakalimutan to ha. Please. Kapag sinabing the teacher serves as a fountain of information and paragon of virtues, that is essentialism. Nakuha? Teachers are instructional authorities and they must be well prepared and accountable for children's failure. Please do master this philosophy. Clear? Na-highlight naman natin yung mga main words and key concepts regarding essentialism. Okay, let's proceed. Next is perennialism. Kung kanina, sa essentialism, instill in all students the most essential or the most basic academic knowledge. With perennialism, contends that truth is universal and unchanging. And therefore, a good education is universal and constant or evergreen. Nakuha? What is the aim of perennialism in education? To educate rational. What do we mean when we say rational persons? Kapag sinabi natin rational persons, this pertains to persons who are able to reason out. Tama? Okay. Cultivate intellect. Develop the power of thought or rational power of the person. Nakuha? Role of education. Teachers help students think with reason based on Socratic methods of oral exposition or recitation. More on reasoning nga siya. Perennialism. Focus in the curriculum is the classical subjects, literary analysis, and curriculum is constant. Teachings are lifted from the great books. Huwag niyo kakalimutan to. Teachings are lifted from the great books. Kapag sinabing great books, that is perennialism. Nakuha? Curriculum trends. Use of great books and return to liberal arts. The teacher is viewed to be one of the who has mastered discipline, a master teacher in terms of guiding truth, and whose character is beyond reproach. So that is perennialism, more on the rational person. We are teaching or molding students to become rational persons or persons who are able to reason out. No, more likely we are using great books here, and the teacher is the master of his own discipline. Well, so that is perennialism, evergreen. It should be constant, universal. Okay, so para daw tayo magkaroon ng good education, tinuturo natin is dapat na universal and constant. Nakuha? Okay, let's proceed to progressivism. I guess we already have a prior knowledge regarding progressivism since we already discussed yung progressivist point of view of curriculum. Now, when we say progressivism, change is the only thing that is not change. Kumbaga, continuous, patuloy na nagbabago. Stressed the view that all learning should center on the child's interest and needs. So, talking about progressivism, the main center of the teaching and learning process is the child's interest and needs. Nakuha? That is progressivism. So, what is the aim of progressivism in education? First, is to promote democratic and social living. Next is to meet the needs. Sabi nga kasi, di ba, sa progressivism, needs of the growing child. Next is to develop learners into becoming enlightened and intelligent citizens of a democratic society. So, more likely, napapansin ba natin yung keywords when it comes to progressivism? Child's interest and needs, democratic and social living, democratic society, needs of the child. What is the role of education from the progressivism? Knowledge leads to growth and development of lifelong learners who actively learn by doing. Okay? Another thing, progressivism, learning by doing. Need-based and relevant curriculum. Kasi nga sabi natin, progressivism, center on the child's interests and needs. Okay? Emphasis on the child as the learner rather than on the subject matter. So, kung kanina, no, sa anong philosophy yon, yung main na emphasis ay subject matter. Sa essentialism, Ang main emphasis niya ay ang subject matter. Okay? Sa progressivism naman is, yung main center niya ay the learner. Okay? Dito sa role of education, emphasis on the child as the learner rather than on the subject matter. Focus in the curriculum. Ano nga ba? Subjects are interdisciplinary, integrative, and interactive. So, interdisciplinary, hindi lang nakafocus sa isang discipline. Integrative, kailangan may integration from different or pinagsasama siya doon sa mula sa iba't ibang subject. Interactive, ibig sabihin there is a response from the learners. Curriculum is focused on students' interest, human problems, and affairs. Paulit-ulit na siya, actually, kasi yun yung main thought of progressivism. Curriculum trends, school reforms, relevant and contextualized curriculum, humanistic education. Ito, okay, pag sinabing progressivism, ano yung trends niya? Hands-on, minds-on, and hearts-on. Stress on activities and experiences. Okay, balik na naman tayo, di ba? Sabi nga natin sa progressive point of view, experience. So, dito rin sa progressivism, activities and experiences rather than on textbooks and memorization na kabaliktaran, kumbaga progressivism, kabaliktaran ng essentialism. Nakukuha? Is it clear? Tama na ba? No? Malinaw ba yung pagkakadiscuss natin regarding on progressivism? Clear na? Clear? Okay. Last but not the least, pero then again, ulitin ko lang, hindi lang apat yung philosophies of education or philosophical foundations of curriculum. Okay? More likely, we have more than 4 na mga philosophical foundations and philosophies of education. But, with our textbook, dito sa apat lamang, na focus yung philosophical foundations of curriculum. Okay? Sa essentialism, perennialism, progressivism, and reconstructionism. Actually, meron din tayong tinatawag na constructivism. Okay? Familiar ba yung word na constructivism? I do hope that it's familiar since siya ay na-discuss sa Prof. Ed 2. So, what is reconstructionism? So, kapag sinabi natin reconstructionism, emphasizes the addressing of, highlight the word social. Reconstructionism, social questions and the quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. When we talk about reconstructionism, more likely we are molding the child to learn so that the child may be prepared as he entered the real world around him. Why? Kasi yung isang bata, kaya niyang ma-influence yung kanyang society. If the child, turuan natin siya ng pagbabago, yung bata, kaya niyang baguhin yung kanyang society. So, sa reconstructionism, the learner and the society. Yun yung main emphasis. So, what is the aim of education under reconstructionism? Improve and reconstruct society education for change. Yan ang sinabi natin kanina, society and the learner. Role of education, teachers act as agents of change and reform in various educational projects including research. Another focus in the curriculum, focus in present and future trends and issues of national and international interest kasi nga society, iba, of the community. And what is the trend under reconstructionism? Reconstructionism, equality of educational opportunities in education and access to global education. Kasi nga more on society siya. Pag sinabi naman natin constructivism, okay, the highlight is the prior knowledge. Diba? Familiar tayo dyan sa Prof. Ed 2. Kina Jerome Bruner, diba? Kina Max Withermer. Yung sa Gestalt theory. Mga ganon. Subsumption theory. Diba? So, that is constructivism. Pag sinabing constructivism, prior knowledge. Knowledge. Reconstructionism, the learner and the society. How the learner can impact the society. Nakuha? Naintindihan? So, we have there 4 philosophical foundations of curriculum. First, essentialism. Second is the perennialism. Third, progressivism. And last is the reconstructionism. Again, hindi lamang ito yung philosophies of education, but rather there are also other philosophies of education to which na dapat ninyong alamin at dapat ninyong matutunan because these philosophies in education usually comes out in the licensure examination. So, you need to be prepared. Remember, third year students na kayo. So, you only have 1 year left and a year for you to take the licensure examination. So, you need to prepare. Nakuha? Okay. An educational philosophy lays the strong foundation of any curriculum. So, without these educational philosophies, more likely, I guess, the curriculum, baka madali siyang matumba. A curriculum planner or specialist, curriculum implementer or the teacher, school administrator or curriculum evaluator, whether school-based or externally based, anchors his decision-making process on a sound philosophy. So, mahalaga yung philosophies of education. Nakukuha? Okay. Historical foundation of curriculum. No? So, we still have 3 more major foundations of curriculum na kailangan nating i-discuss. Okay? Okay. Shall we proceed to the next? Okay pa? Sige. Historical foundation of curriculum. But then again, you make it sure that you have with you your module. Okay? Para nababasa ninyo while we are having this discussion through this video, nababasa nyo rin sa inyong module yung content. Kasi again, there might be ideas and information which might not be included in this video that are in your module. So please do also refer in your module. Nakuha? Why is it important to know the historical foundations of curriculum? See, kaya, what do you think is the reason? Why is it important to know the historical foundations of curriculum? Okay, of course, our past plays a very big role of who we are today. Yung historical foundations of curriculum plays a very big part of the kind of curriculum that we have today. Without the previous curriculum implemented inside the classroom, wala tayong i-improve. At baka nga, wala na tayong curriculum na meron tayo today. So, there is always a progress sa curriculum. Historical foundations of curriculum or the history, ito ay yung pundasyon din ito. Kaya napaka-importante na malaman natin yung historical foundations of curriculum. Remember, without our past, we cannot reach our future. Okay? So, here are different curricularists, and mga personalities that contributes a lot to curriculum. So there are, I guess, many of them, 8 or 10, if I'm not mistaken. 8 na mga tao na nag-contribute ng napakalaking contributions to curriculum. First is Franklin Bobbitt. So, he believed that curriculum as a science that emphasizes on students' needs. So, para sa kanya, yung curriculum should give emphasis on the students' needs and should prepare the students for adult life. Kaya, yung ating K-12 curriculum today, ganun din naman, di ba? More likely, it centers on the needs of the learners and we are providing mga problem-based na mga activities that prepare students for adult life. So, that is according to Franklin Bobbitt. Next is Werit Charters. So, the listing of objectives and matching this with corresponding activities ensures that the content of subject matter is related to objective. So, familiar? Is it familiar? Diba, when we are constructing our lesson plan, we always make it sure that what is set as our objective, all the learning activities na ipaprovide ni teacher should correspond or dapat it is in line with the objective. So, that is idea rin siya ni Werit Charter. Sabi niya dito, objectives and corresponding activities should match to ensure that the content is related to the objective. Okay, next. Next is William Kilpatrick. Curricula are purposeful activities which are child-centered. So, curriculum, of course, with the purpose that is child-centered. The main emphasis of curriculum with a purpose is the learner. The purpose of the curriculum is child development and growth. Okay? So that is according to William Kilpatrick, that the main purpose of the curriculum should help the learners to develop and to grow in all aspects, of course. Next, according to Harold Rugg, curriculum should develop the whole child. Okay, yun yung kanyang main na idea, that the curriculum planned, that will be implemented and that will be evaluated should develop the child holistically. What do we mean when we say holistically and how do we spell it? Kapag sinabi natin holistically, 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 it means cognitively, sa psychomotor, sa affective na domains in all different levels according to Bloom's taxonomy. Okay? Holistically, the curriculum should help the child develop holistically. It is child-centered with the statement of objectives and related learning activities. Curriculum should produce outcomes. That is also the reason why with the K-12 curriculum, tinatawag natin siya na outcomes-based. Nakukuha? Okay, next is Hollis Caswell. Sees curriculum as organized around social functions of themes, organized knowledge, and learners' interests. So, parang pare-pareho lang naman sila, no? Kasi learner-centered sila. And yung main emphasis nila is yung learners' interests and needs. Curriculum is a set of experiences. So, si Hollis Caswell is more likely a progressivist. Diba? Kasi more likely ang focus is the experience. Next is Ralph Tyler. Curriculum is based on students' needs and interests. So, more likely, progressivist din si Ralph Tyler. Subject matter is organized in terms of knowledge, skills, and values. So, according to Ralph Tyler, that the curriculum should touch the 3 domains. Diba? Yun yung cognitive, psychomotor, and the affective domain. Hilda Taba, of course, she contributed to the theoretical and pedagogical foundations of concepts development and critical thinking in social studies, helped lay the foundation of diverse student population. Okay, so more likely, dito napapasok ngayon yung diversity of the students. Because Hilda Taba believed that every learner is unique and different from one another. Then, Peter Oliva, so siya yung parang pinaka-current kasi until 2012 pa lang siya. He described how curriculum change, no, is cooperative endeavor. Teachers and curriculum specialists constitute the professional core. Significant improvement is achieved through group activity. So, kapag not necessarily na yung literal na group activity na alam natin, but more likely, if all the persons na gumaganap ng role sa curriculum or yung tinatawag nating stakeholders, no, plays their role or ginagampanan nila yung kanilang parte sa curriculum development, more likely, nagiging maganda daw yung kinalalabasan ng curriculum development. Nakukuha? Okay, so that is the historical foundation of curriculum, but more likely, we focused on different personalities that contributes to the development of curriculum. First is Franklin Bobbitt, then Wired Charters. Actually, you might simply read naman kung ano yung contributions nila to curriculum kasi in each person provided there is the main emphasis of their contributions to curriculum. Then we also have William Kilpatrick, Harold Rugg, then Hollis Caswell, Ralph Tyler, Hilda Talba, and of course Peter Oliva. So, historical foundations of curriculum. Should we proceed? Sige, proceed tayo. So, psychological foundations of education. So, here, hindi na tayo masyadong magbibigay ng emphasis since all the psychological foundations of education are already discussed, the different theories, diba? In our Prof. Ed 2, facilitating learner-centered teaching. So here, we give emphasis on the 3 psychological foundations. First is the behaviorist. Second is the cognitive information theory and the humanistic theory. So, mag-ano lang tayo, bigay lang tayo ng short overview regarding on the theories here sa psychological foundations of education. Okay ba? Okay. So, behaviorist or association psychology. To the behaviorist, learning should be organized so that the students can experience success in the process of mastery. The method is introduced in a step-by-step manner. Ivan Pavlov's classical conditioning, B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning, Albert Bandura's modeling, and Robert Gaines' hierarchical learning are related to behavior. Okay, but in other books, just like what we have discussed in Prof. Ed 2, Robert Gaines' theory, iba yung 9 na system or process. More likely yan doon siya sa cognitive, doon sa Prof. Ed 2, cognitive learning theories. Now, again, from the different authors of books, they, yung kanilang point of view might, of course, differ from one another. Here, nakikita natin yung theory ni Robert Gaines that belong to behaviorist psychology. So, Ivan Pavlov, they're still remember, Ivan Pavlov, ano yung kanya? The classical conditioning. Please do not forget this one. The persons and their contributions, the different theories. Of course, ito ay included din sa licensure examination with the classical conditioning, the dog, di ba yung salivation, with the bell, stimulus, response. Next is Edward Thorndike. Ito yung may mga laws, no? Law of readiness, exercise, law of effect. No, meron pa nga tayong tinatawag na law of recency, law of primary, and law of intensity. Kung maalala ninyo with Edward Thorndike, yung video na ginamit natin dito before is the cat na ipinasok doon sa isang cage, and si cat talagang gumawa siya ng pamamaraan para makalabas sa cage, and paglabas niya sa cage, meron doon nakahanda ng fish para kainin niya. So, inulit niya ng inulit yung behavior kasi nga merong reward. Okay. Doon lang pala magbibigay ng emphasis. Pero, sa tingin ko, hindi naman na tayo dapat pa magtagal pa dito kasi nga, na-discuss natin siya last year, di ba? With your Prof. Ed 2. Okay, cognitive psychology. Sige, ano yung mga naalala natin sa cognitive psychology? We have Jean Piaget, right? Sino pa? George Miller. Doon sa kanyang information processing theory. Sino pa? With the cognitive psychology or cognitive learning theories. Mga naalala ninyo. We also have the problem solving, right? And creativity. Yon, yung mga concepts na yon. So, these psychologists focus their attention on how individuals process information and how they monitor and manage thinking. So, sabi pa nga dito, Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory, Levi-Vygotsky's sociocultural development theory or social constructivism, Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence. Pero ito kasi siyang multiple intelligence, diba nilagay natin siya dun sa student diversity, last topic na discuss natin sa Prof. Ed 2, if you can still remember, and others. So, Jean Piaget, yung meron tayong 4 na stages of cognitive development, sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete, and the formal. Then, we also have here yung mga terms, no? Yung ating assimilation, accommodation, and equilibration, which is under sa process ng adaptation, if you can still remember. Then, Levi-Vygotsky, more likely, meron tayo dito yung MKO, the more knowledgeable other, di ba? Yung social interaction, scaffolding, if you can still remember, nandoon yun. Okay? Then, we also have here Howard Gardner. Okay, di ba meron tayong 9 na multiple intelligence? It could be yung linguistic, musical, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, so on, so forth. Yung 9. Diba? Yung existentialist and the others. Then, of course, Daniel Goleman. Ito, hindi natin siya masyadong napag-aralan sa, sa discussion natin sa Prof. Ed 2. So, more likely, emotion contains the power to affect attention. So, yung motivation natin, as persons, it affects our actions. He called this emotional quotient. Okay. Humanistic psychology. Review lang rin tayo kasi na-discuss naman natin ito before. So, humanist psychologists are concerned with how learners can develop their human potential. So, personal needs, psychological meaning, and environmental situations. So, we have here the Jessel theory. So, more likely, last time, di ba, sa constructive na, learning theories, di ba, yung Jessel theory. Learning is explained in terms of wholeness. Human beings do not respond to isolated stimuli, but rather to an organization of pattern. Diba? Yung may mga pinakitang picture na sa first na tingin, iba yung makikita mong picture, pero kapag tinignan mo siya pang kabuuan, meron pa palang ibang picture, diba? So, that is Jessel theory. Then, Abraham Maslow, diba? Yung hierarchy of needs. If you can still remember, from the very basic to self-actualization. Diba? So, please, as much as possible, ayaw niyo good pagkalimti ini siya nga mga learning theories. Again, this is also included in the licensure examination. So please do master these theories. Then Carl Rogers. But as far as I can remember, we did not discuss about Carl Rogers' theory. So he established counseling procedures and methods for facilitating learning. So more likely, the main emphasis of Carl Rogers' theory is counseling. Children's perceptions, which are highly individualistic, influence their learning and behavior. Curriculum is concerned with process, not product. Personal needs, not subject matter. Psychological meaning, not cognitive scores. Okay, so more likely on the process or the implementation. Yun yung main focus ng theory ni Carl Rogers. Psychology has a great influence in the curriculum, of course. Learners are not machines and the mind is not a computer. Humans are biological beings affected by their biology and their culture. Psychological foundations will help curriculum makers in nurturing a more advanced, more comprehensive, and complete human learning. So, with the different theories, no, it also helps sa development ng curriculum. Of course, kasi with these theories, learning theories, yung main emphasis niya is yung pagkilala sa mga learners, sa kanilang interest, needs, diversity. So, with this psychological principles, sa psychology or yung mga theories na ito, it helps the teacher on how to understand the diversity of the learners and how a teacher might respond to the needs and interests of the learners. Nakukuha? Okay. And last, but not the least, tapos na tayo sa philosophical foundations of curriculum. Tapos na rin tayo sa psychological foundations of curriculum, historical foundations of curriculum. Last but not the least is the social foundations of curriculum or education. Okay. Societal culture affects and shapes schools and their curricula. Of course, our society, the other persons that we interact with, no, plays a significant role on who we are and how we learn. The way school buildings are structured, classrooms and students are organized reflect the cultural views and values of the society. Okay, the curricula should reflect and preserve the culture of society and its aspiration. The society should also imbibe the changes brought about by the formal institutions called schools. So, ano bang meron sa social foundations of education? So, more likely, that the school, the learner, and the society. Okay, nandoon. Of course, sabi pa dito, the home, family, community, likewise, educate the people in the society. Okay, schools and society. Society as a source of change, as agents of change, knowledge as an agent of change. Now, according to John Dewey, he considered two fundamental elements, schools and civil society, to be major topics needing attention and reconstruction, di ba, reconstructionism kanina, to encourage experimental intelligence and plurality. Now, Alvin Toffler believed that knowledge should prepare students for the future. He suggests that in the future, parents may not have the resources to teach the prescribed curriculum from home as a result from technology, not in spite of it. First, saw schools and students work creatively, so on and so forth. So, more likely, with the social foundations of curriculum without the other aspects or the other persons that surrounds us, of course, it will be impossible for the teacher to develop the curriculum. Now, it will be impossible for the learner to learn without the person surrounding him. Na nakaka-apekto rin yung kanyang environment, yung kanyang culture, yung kanyang view, and yung kanyang society. Nakukuha? Okay, so that is social foundation of education. Okay, ito kasi panibagong topic na ulit siya. So, let us go back to your module and let us check. Here. Okay, so for your activity in lesson 2, you are to make, okay, yung paborito natin, graphic organizer that will summarize the concepts of the foundation of curriculum. So, graphic organizer, gagawa kayo. Then, research on the other philosophies of education and fill in the table below. Ito na yun. Ayaw gad ka mo itong kahirap. Kaya ini siya magagamitan magyap niyo in the near future kapag nagre-review na kayo for the licensure examination. Then you fill in the table below. Research other psychological foundations from behavioral, cognitive, and humanistic that contribute to the development of curriculum. So, magkakaroon tayo ng learning bank. Then you are to describe the foundations of curriculum by supplying the information needed in the table. So, we have here the 4 major foundations of curriculum. First, philosophical. Ano yung contributions dito sa curriculum development? Ano yung main emphasis ng philosophical? Ano yung role ng curriculum under philosophical? Same as to sa psychological, historical, and social. Then, you are to make an editorial cartoon that will express your opinion regarding the influence of the foundation of curriculum and the curriculum development. Kaya nyo yan. Sa TTL2, nagawa nyo nga. Dito pa kaya. Okay, then of course, express. You are to reflect on the following questions provided. Nakuha? So, you try to read the questions carefully and please do make it sure that you'll be able to come up with a substantial output. Provided here is the learning rubric that will serve as a rating for your output. So, please be guided with the learning rubrics. Okay? Okay, the teacher as a curricularist. Sige lang. So, if you have questions or clarifications, please do not hesitate to raise your questions through our group chat. Naintindihan? I-raise nyo lang yung inyong questions and clarifications sa group chat and that will be entertained from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. As much as I can, mag-answer ako sa inyong mga questions doon sa group chat. Okay? So, the next video that we will be making is on the teacher as a curricularist. No? So, yun yung magiging focus ng susunod natin na video. Diba? I do hope na from this video and the previous video, you have learned the things that you need to learn. Okay? In preparation for the licensure examination.